Whole bunch of gold, but that's about it. Ooh, town right there. Look at that.
Yeah, this is going to turn out to be a pretty interesting seed. Not a whole lot to start with.
Depends what's in that town. Oh, of course it's Hawksness.
That is what some would define as brutal. $2,000 gold to start with, and absolutely nothing to spend it on. So what is your opinion on the reset strats that you see sometimes? Do you think that it's legit? Do you disagree with it? What do you think?
Oh, I absolutely agree with the reset strats. It saves some time every time you either die or are about to die. So it just saves a little bit of time if you can do it quickly. Absolutely.
It was actually a comment that got posted up in my chat the last time that I raced, because we were doing a big swamp seed. We got the harp right off the get-go, and I was just harping, trying to find weaker enemies and whatnot, so that way that I could get past the swamp, because right on the other side of the 6th step of the swamp was a town, and we had exactly 12 HP to start with, and so I was doing reset strats in order to try and save the little bit of gold that I had. I think we're live.
Hi, everybody. I'm Zmano50778, and with me tonight in the commentary is my friend the Amused Media Chair. How you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, and if it works for you, I go by Muse just for short. It's a little bit of a mouthful to say. How about you? I hope you're doing well.
I am doing well, thank you very much. And as you can see here, we do have a league race here for Dragon Warrior Randomizer, and we have week 1 flags. Basically, the whole thing behind week 1 flags is spells are learned at the vanilla levels. There are no keys. We have a short shellback, and XP is gained at 50% the usual rate. So let us get caught up to speed on this seed really quick. There is a town north of Tantagil that winds up being Hawksness, and there was nothing but a ton of gold in Charlock, Tangil, both the first 3 chests and the treasury. Otherwise, it's just gold and some other fun stuff. And we do have Xarnax finding the staff cave. So, what do you think of these flags, Amused? You like them? Anything you're looking forward to seeing tonight?
So I've been playing a couple of practice seeds just to kind of get caught up on the league, just so that way that I can commentate for it. I definitely enjoyed the short Sherlock flag. That one is definitely very very friendly, I guess would be the word that I would utilize for it, because that short Charlock takes you straight to the bottom floor of Charlock without having to go through the hassle of the final dungeon, so it can be pretty forgiving. With the vanilla spell levels, we're going to be seeing these runners run up to at least level 17, because they have to learn Heal more in order to beat the Dragon Lord. So that adds a little bit of extra length to the seed, but they've done a really good job of balancing it out by increasing from fast EXP, which is at 75% of the experience goals, to 50%. So it kind of balances itself out. You're still going to see roughly about an hour-long seed, depending upon how quickly we find items.
Exactly. And speaking of finding items, we have Braxis finding Caitlin. So let's see if he can buy anything here. Ooh, we got probably hand axe or a chainmail. Let's see, what's he going to take?
I would definitely take the hand axe here. There's quite a few enemies that are right in that beginning zone that the hand axe is going to put right within striking range, so I'd say that that's definitely the choice that I would make, and it looks like Braxis is agreeing with me there.
Now, if you take a look at Xarnax's side, he is doing a little bit of gold farming here. He hasn't seen Caitlin yet, but he's saving up gold for when eventually he does find something to buy. I'm sorry, that's MeleeWizard. My bad.
Yeah, it seems like it's a pretty friendly first zone. You got red slimes and drakies, and we haven't seen any revenge of the weak enemies with that very much so feared hurt more spell and the Dragon Lord breath. So pretty friendly first zone here. And once again, coming back to what I was chatting about with that hand axe there, Braxis Muse has hit level 5 already, and we're just a few minutes into the seed. I just happened to glance over and missed out on the timer there. Oh, there we go. Scorpions are now well within striking distance. You're going to be getting 16 EXP instead of fighting drakies and red slimes, so I definitely agree with his choice here. And it looks like Centroid has decided to stick it out in the forest just east of Tantagel here. Getting pretty good experience as well. Ooh, Magidrakies have sleep. That's never a good thing. But it looks like they just have vanilla attack, and these guys got plenty of defense, so...
Xarnax learning his heal spell. That's always a good thing. Centroid and MeleeWizard still need to get to level 3. Oh wait, Centroid is at 3. So MeleeWizard is the only one that still does not yet have his heal. Xarnax does find Caitlin, but unfortunately doesn't have any money to buy anything with. It'll be interesting to see if he grinds in the castle a little bit for some extra gold now that he knows where a shot.
And Braxis Muse is picking up the coordinates early on. He's got plenty of MP to utilize that heal spell. Those barrier tiles right there deal much a bit pop to him, so he's taking quite a bit of damage, but we've gotten pretty good MP gains so far.
So what do we have here? We have 62 south and neutral.
I don't think I've ever seen a neutral coordinate. That's kind of cool that it picks to the east, though. probably be just a little while before we see him try to go pick up those coordinates. That's pretty far from the castle, and just south of the castle. I want to say that I saw some wolves down there and stuff. So we could take wolves, but they're not very efficient right now, just because of how much damage they're going to be dealing.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Well, Braxis can with his axe, and maybe Xarnax can once he gets something. Oh, we have a small shield pickup for melee.
I completely missed that. Looks like he's checking out the other shops too. Picking himself up a dragon scale, and for those of you who don't know, the dragon scale gives you 2 extra defense power.
Now, I didn't see Melee pick up a weapon yet. He might be buying herbs and dragon scales and then going back to buying a weapon. We shall see. Xarnax checking what's underneath the castle, and based on the way he's walking, it's either the grave or it's mountain cave. Can't tell yet in the dark.
He is definitely a very brave soul taking on this Wolf Lord at this low of a level, but it seems like it's working out pretty well for him. He's got the herd spell at his side, and it looks like this will be the last one.
And that's a nice little boost of experience there for Xarnax.
Yeah, I believe that's going to put him right close to Braxis Muse. He might be just a little bit behind him now.
Okay, so this does appear to be the mountain cave based on... Wait.
Yeah, you're correct. That's mountain cave, it looks like.
It does appear to be mountain cave to me. Or it's either that or it's Swamp South. It might be Swamp South.
Yeah, that is true. $30 MP on level 6. That's why we saw that coordinate check by Braxis Muse. That was a huge MP gain.
I'm a little surprised Melee didn't dip into the treasury to get some more gold so he can go buy himself a weapon at Cantlin. Braxis is now heading down into... He's probably going to use one of the... Oh, he didn't buy a torch! Is he going to try to do this in the dark? I think I'm going to definitively say that this is probably Swamp South. So right now we just have everybody else still just kind of checking things out. Xarnax heading back down into what I believe to be Swamp South. And runs pretty straight into a literal brick wall. As does...
Yeah, that golem is a very, very brutal enemy. I believe they have one of the highest attack powers in the game. I think the only one that's anywhere near close for a match for them is the Red Dragon.
But Xarnax is undeterred. He's going back down again. Meanwhile, Melee getting to level 5, and I missed what Centroid purchased. Or did he just look? Given the amount of gold he has, he probably bought some.
Yeah, the magic armor, they're at the secret shop in Cantlin. So we might be seeing a gold grind here. I think this is actually what Xarnax is after. I think that Xarnax is after picking up a couple of chests down here. Because watching his screen, it definitely looks like Mountain Cave to me. and he might be looking to grab a chest, but he could also be looking to grind those very lucrative rogue scorpions, with them being pretty friendly this seed.
And there's that whopper of a level there, 30 MP. Praxis Muse taking his axe and hacking down some wolves.
And it looks like he's counting coordinates.
Be interesting to see if this can actually be done.
Definitely a slight miscalculation there.
Uh-oh, he's starting to run into some coastline issues here.
Yeah, and it looks like he's just about centered up with it.
Oh, he's searching around.
This is probably my least liked anxiety attack right here, where you've counted the coordinates, you're so sure that you're right, you search that spot and it says nothing is found. That's got to be one of the most frustrating things that I tried to learn as a new runner.
Yeah, agreed. And Xarnax has set up his gold grind and is now going to get a bunch of gold. Up 10G, welcome. I hope the race you commentated went well. This is indeed a slower start. There was really nothing good in the treasury except for gold, really. And nobody really found their first town until about 10 minutes ago. So the equipment here, not so great right now. And right now we've only found 2 caves, one of which my co-commentator here and I are a little bit of disagreement. He thinks it's the mountain cave. I think it's Swamp South. And we have also seen, the Staff of Rain cave.
Well, in Xarnax having his gold grind right here, he came from the cave that was in Tantajal basement. So it had to be a cave that has chests in it for him to be able to establish the gold grind. So it's going to be one of 3. Yeah, one of 3 possible locations, and it definitely looked like Mountain Cave for sure. And with Kentlin being a quick hop, skipping away, and it having some pretty decent equipment, I think we're going to see him going over and seeing if the Silver Shield is over there, because he hasn't really checked yet. And that could lead to some disappointment here, because I didn't see a Silver Shield over there, so that's a good couple of minutes of gold grinding. That's pretty much down the tubes.
Yeah, but I know we saw the magic armor. I don't know if I saw a flame.
Well, Centroid is in Cantlin. Maybe he'll give us a glimpse of what's going on. And to address Up 2NG's question, the town that is in the swamp north of Tantajal is indeed Hawksness. They tried to go up and try to utilize, they found about 2,000 gold in the treasury in the first 3 chests, respectively, and it was unfortunately Hawksness, and everybody ended up dying before finding Cantlin.
It looks like Xarnax is making his way over to Cantlin. Oh, and gets blocked by an AK-47, and it's like, nope, I'm not even going to try. Nope.
Yeah, definitely not with these stats. Even when these guys are a coin flip to run away, they're a pain.
Centroid is looking like he's going to make his trek to the old man to get his coordinates, and he's going to be equally shocked, just like we all were, that it is neutral east-west.
Yeah, I have to say the coordinates seem fairly decent in terms of where they're located at. There's not a whole lot of obstacles in the way. There's a little bit that you have to deal with the coastline and whatnot, but as long as you keep good track of your east and west direction, it's actually a pretty simple count, it would seem.
Xarnax definitely picking up his magic armor, and let's see what he's going to get from this shop. Oh, there is a flame shower and a silver shield. Wow.
Wow, I missed it. So that definitely paid off for him. He has now got top tier equipment. The only thing that's better than the flame sword being Erdrick's sword, and the only thing being better than the magic armor is Erdrick's armor. So that's pretty good for him. It looks like he's counting as well. He's kind of stutter-stepping there. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, though.
I think he is trying to set up a count here. And we do have Centroid in what looks to be the mountain cave.
Golem's
yeah, he got away. I thought he was going to get slept and wrecked.
Yeah, I did as well. That definitely looked like not a very favorable position for him at all. Did I just see that right?
And his Go ahead.
Did Centroid have Erdrick's sword?
He just found Erdrick's sword under... So I guess it was in Tantagil after all, right? Just kind of in the basement.
Wow. That is, that's an awesome find for him. That gives him 40 attack power right now. So he's able to take on quite a bit of the enemies around here.
Yeah, that's going to definitely give him a leg up as far as being able to attack and get levels fairly quickly. Oh, nice agility boost there, 13 at level 8.
And to answer Math Girl's question, I have not seen them pick up any of the key items with the exception of the sword. So we did just find the fighter's ring though, so we'll take that. An extra 2 attack power never hurts.
Oh, now he's going to go check out the last bit of the mountain cave here. It's already been productive with the fighter's ring and a sword. Will it be any more productive?
So while we're on the subject of key items, so the goal of the game is that you have 3 specific items that you have to obtain in order to make what's called the rainbow drop to get to the final dungeon. And those items are the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's Token. So those are the items that we're referring to, and in order to get the Staff of Rain, you have to find the Silver Harp. So these runners are going to be checking every chest that they can, trying to find these very important items so that way they can access the final castle.
And in true RPG fashion, we have a jerk bird. The Magiwyverns have sleep, and they have hurt more.
Is he gonna get slept and wrecked? Oh, he woke up. Oh, that is so lucky. That is so lucky. So it's a 50% chance to wake up, if I remember correctly. And he definitely won the roll there. And then Magi Wyverns, I think, aren't too terribly resistant to sleep, but they do have a little bit. So got a little lucky there, but it worked out for him pretty well.
And up to NG asking about Xarnax's sprite, and I'm pretty sure Xarnax's sprite is the dog from Dragon Warrior 4 Quest 3, Chapter 3, that Taloon borrows from, I forget the guy's name, to chase away the foxes. So I'm pretty sure that is the dog there. And I'm still not sure what Braxis's sprite is.
Braxis's sprite is the female magician sprite from Dragon Warrior 3.
Oh, see, there you go. Centroid has set up his gold grind.
And unfortunately, Xarnax ran face first into what we call the Fun Police. They are the Red Dragon. The Red Dragon is one of the hardest enemies in the game with 120 attack power. They have 45 defense power, so they're hard to hit over. They have a ton of HP. I think their max is 106, and they have tons of agility, so it's dang near impossible to run away from them at these low agilities. So unfortunately, he ran into him and just wasn't able to do anything about it.
So Braxis has found Brimeldar, which has the Stones of Sunlight.
And it looks like Centroid is just only going to grab the silver shield here. He does have the half plate right now, so grinding that extra time away for the magic armor might not be that beneficial, but there's plenty of reasons to do it. The magic armor, I believe it's every 4 steps, replenishes 1 HP, and then you also have a resistance increase to the hurt and hurt more spells. I believe it's 1/3. So not quite sure why he's making that decision. Maybe it's just to save a little bit of time. But we still have not had an armor sighting yet, and we're almost 30 minutes into the siege, so...
No, but it does look like Xarnax is trying another count here.
And the Fairy Flute is on the overworld search spot. So the Fairy Flute is one of the extra items that you're able to get. It's a key item, and what it does is you play the Fairy Flute and it will put those ridiculous golems to sleep. Guaranteed. So you have a guaranteed chance to run from them now.
So really one of the big questions here is when is one of our runners going to attempt their luck at Hawksness? We have Xarnax with the Flame Sword, and we have Centroid with Erdrick's Sword. So you got to figure one of them has to be thinking, can we give it a chance? Maybe we find an Axe Knight or a Stone Man. I mean, a Stone Man would be best case scenario here because you can sleep a Stone Man.
And actually, with how hard he was getting hit by that green dragon, referring to Xarnax, he just lost to a green dragon not that long ago. An Axe Knight actually wouldn't be too difficult to deal with. He could potentially take it down before it killed him. It would depend upon what it has, but definitely the Stone Man's the most favorable, seeing as how he only has a 3 out of 16 chance of resisting sleep.
Oh, that's not what you want to see there.
Well, I have to admit, I love the YOLO sleep strat there on the Red Dragon. So the Red Dragon has 15/16 chance to resist sleep there. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but he actually managed to get away. So, hey, it worked out for him at least a little bit.
I do believe up on Braxis' side we found, I want to say Tablet Cave, but I didn't see what he got out of Tablet Cave. And MeleeWizard is in the Mountain Cave underneath Tantagel. And pretty soon he's going to be rewarded with his very own, I think he's already got,
I believe Erdrick's sword was on the top floor. I'm not 100% sure, though.
Oh, Metal Slime over on Xarnax's side.
Yeah, right in with the Hawksness enemy set here, which seems to be okay. It doesn't seem to be too terrible. The Metal Slime is one of 3 enemies in the game that give maximum experience. They only have 3 HP, but they do have maximum defense, so they can be pretty tough to take down. So looks like Xarnax is trying for some RNG manipulation there, trying to guarantee that 1 damage on that Metal Slime there.
Well, it worked for the first Metal Slime. Not so much for...
Oh, blue dragons have the big boy breath. So, what I mean by the big boy breath is there's 2 different flame damage types in the game. One of them is what I call baby breath. It deals significantly less damage without Erdrick's armor. It deals, I believe it's 18 to 24, if I remember right, points of damage. And then you have Dragonlord42 breath, which without the armor can deal, I believe it's 68 to 74. I'm not 100% though.
I think you're right. Something to point out here, level 10 comes with its very own MP incredible growth of 34. Oh, by the way, just, because I have to mention this because it is, kind of sort of close, near and dear to my heart here. Notice how we have all 4 capital Z names. And that just means that all 4 of our runners are using the strength HP build, but, I like it because they're using the capital Z. I'm flattered.
Yeah, and Dragon Warrior is actually pretty intuitive for its day, seeing as how it ran an algorithm that determined that 2 stats are going to grow faster than the others based on what the first 4 characters of your name are. And it's actually broken down in a hexadecimal and all that stuff, and so it can actually, when you think about it, it's an NES game that was released in Japan in, I think, 1986, if I remember right. So, thinking back then, we're talking about platformers and stuff that weren't super intuitive, and then you have something like this that's very intuitive with how far they went with the programming.
So, if you paid attention to MeleeWizard's screen, he is setting up a gold grind, but he missed the chest at first, and he picked up a chest that had fairy water in it. But if you looked at the name of the chest, it wasn't fairy water, it was Sword Magidrak. I'm not sure exactly why that glitch is, but if you do pick up an item when you have the item glitch on, sometimes you get some wacky things, wacky names.
I would assume that it has to do with how the RAM interprets chest storage, because those 2 components of the RAM are actually pretty much right next to each other in the game's code. So since you're affecting the RAM, that is where chests are stored, and the game tells the game that the chest has been opened. Since you're playing with that, it directly impacts its pairing with what's supposed to be in the chest. So I'd imagine it has something to do with that, but I really don't know for sure.
So, important development here on Braxis' side, he has found the town of Cole, which has the search spot. Right? And normally on the overworld, what you can find is the fairy flute, the Erdrick's token, or Erdrick's armor. Well, we know the fairy flute is in the search spot in the overworld, and the search spot at Cole gave us nothing. So we know that the armor then is guarded by that red dragon in Hawksness, and we know that Erdrick's token has to be in a random chest.
MeleeWizard running away from an armored knight who also has very high agility as well. So it's been pretty generous this seed with the agility gains. We've had a couple of big ones. I think 13 is the biggest one I've seen. So we have pretty decent agility. So they're now at least, I would say, a 35% chance to run away from these higher agility enemies.
So this is right now 36-ish minutes into the race. This is a very close race. All of our racers are similar level, similar experience. I mean, yeah, 200 difference here and there, but right now that isn't much. And they each have a different kind of piece of the puzzle. Braxis knows there's nothing in coal. Xarnax knows that the fairy food is on the overworld. Centroid and Melee know where the Erdrick sword is. But nobody has another piece of that information. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, the only one that I would have to give the advantage to right now is Braxis Muse, because she is that person is the only one that has one of the 3 key items that are required. Unfortunately, she doesn't have the Erdrick sword, so she's gonna have to make up for that at some point. And I keep calling it a she because of the Dragon Warrior sprite, so not meaning that as the actual person.
And Centroid found whatever it was at the bottom of the tablet cave, and I missed it again.
So did I. Was paying attention to MeleeWizard here, who just almost got wrecked by that Dragon Lord 2 breath here in Hawksness. And it would seem like Braxis Muse is finally going to take a dive into the lower cave of Tantagel, and will be rewarded handsomely.
He will be rewarded with his Erdrick sword and his...
Knights have hurt. So the hurt spell is not super painful, and that makes them actually a pretty efficient enemy to fight with that handsome XP of 70, and them not having a whole lot of HP, or 78 experience, excuse me. And then you have wraiths as well, so this is actually a pretty decent zone that Centroid has happened upon here.
Braxis takes down a Wraith Knight and is just about to pick up his Erdrick sword.
Wyverns have heal. I love it when they give enemies that have just barely over that 30 HP mark heal. It just makes them very annoying to deal with.
Yeah, one hit, heal. One hit, heal. Like, ah!
Or you could always run into, you know, a Drakey with heal more. I've had that happen. It was a Chaos Seed, and he had 5 HP, and it was dealing 1 damage at a time, and found out that he had heal more.
That's Chaos mode for you, but hey, just wait. Chaos mode comes next week.
Yeah, no kidding. That is definitely one that I'm looking forward to. I've only played a couple of Chaos seats, so I guess we'll briefly address it a little bit here. So Chaos mode just increases the randomization of each and every seed. So in General Randomizer, chest locations, level stats, level experience, those kinds of things are what are randomized. Whereas in Chaos, pretty much everything is randomized. Even prices in shops, with the exception of items. And then every single monster has their stats randomized. So week 2 is definitely going to be a very, very interesting week. And I'm sure that we'll see a lot of frustration coming from these runners, especially when you run into areas that have a lot of enemies that have a lot of defense.
So Centroid now knows that there is nothing in the coal spot. So, and given that he does also have the coordinates, so he knows that it's either the Fairy Flute or the Eredric's Armor on the overworld, and beyond that, he's not really sure. But I'm thinking maybe he thinks that now that there's one thing in Hawksness, one thing in the overworld, and then the other thing is probably in a treasure chest. If I was Centroid, that's probably what I would be thinking at this point.
You're definitely hoping for the Fairy Flute to be in a chest at this point instead of the token. But unfortunately, as we have already seen, that is not the case. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him start counting coordinates here before too long.
Yeah, and given what we've seen, I think there's only 2 places where the token can be. Either in the grave of Garenham or in the town of Garenham itself with one of the 3 treasures.
Yeah, I think those are the only chests that we have left that we haven't found yet.
Because we know Rimmildar has the stones, and we haven't even seen Breckenary or Garenham yet. Or Sharlock, to be honest.
And we really haven't seen these runners go very far from Tantagel. They've gotten a little ways out of their way, but not a whole lot. We've seen a lot of southward travel, seen a little bit of northward travel. I believe that's where Tablet Cave was, but we haven't seen a whole lot beyond that. And Wizards also have the Dragon Lord 2 Breath, so we're going to be looking to not see them later on in the game, hopefully.
Xarnax is the first of our runners to hit level 12. Pretty pitiful level other than that extra 10 HP.
Yeah, while I agree with that, at least level 12 comes with the security of the outside spell. Xarnax has not found Tablet yet, so when he does find Tablet, it cuts the time that it takes to check Tablet in half. And it'll also come in handy in the grave as well, seeing as how the grave is multiple floors.
But it looks like right now Xarnax is happy to do a grind in this Wolf Lord area.
Yeah, and those Wolf Lords are actually pretty decent experience. We're running into Rogue Scorpions as well. He's got the attack power, he's got the MP to heal himself when he needs to, and he's pretty close to defense breaking him if he's not already, so I mean, why not? Why not grind out some levelage and see if you can go back to Hawksness and take on that Red Dragon in a couple of levels?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with this play. This is a really nice play here from Xarnax. Just get a few more levels, boost your HP, boost your MP, get yourself a little closer to that Heal More spell, which is at level 7.
Yeah, and this has definitely been a pretty interesting siege so far. 45 minutes in, and nobody has all of the key items yet. So we're definitely seeing these runners forced to explore.
Yeah, and I'm even going to take that a step further. We have 12 key items that we can find here, between our 4 runners, and we have 1 of them.
We do have the flute as well. So we have the flute and the stones right now. And we also
I
have
don't
the
count.
fighter's ring.
I don't really count the flute in with that because, I mean, what do you need to beat the game? You need the harp, you need the stones, you need the token. That's what I consider the key items, are those 3, because without those, you can't beat the game. You can probably beat it without the flute, you can probably beat it without the ring, but you can't beat it without those.
Yeah, and I definitely see what you're saying now as well. So... And it looks like Centroid has stumbled upon what is affectionately known as the Jerk Cave. He is known for being a jerk and kicking you out if you don't have the token and the other 2 items.
So it looks like Braxis is kind of hitting and hoping at this point on the Red Dragon. It's not going to end well, man. End well.
Nope, just don't have enough HP to tank that much, and we're just not dealing enough damage to that Red Dragon yet.
Yeah, well, that, and he doesn't have any armor.
I don't think that the no armor is going to hurt him as much as most people might think, because even if you were to buy, say, the magic armor would give him, what is it, a 20-point boost in defense or something like that?
24, I think.
Okay, so 24-point boost in defense, but as we're noticing, that Red Dragon is hitting him for about 40 damage evenly right now, and that's pretty much every single roll. Adding that magic armor there is going to realistically move his range down to the upper 30s to the lower 40s on the average roll, so I don't think that it would help enough.
So this could very well be one of those seeds where it's going to be level 17 before anybody gets Erdrick's armor, since we do know that Erdrick's armor is under that Red Dragon. Nope, Xarnax first to 13. Nice agility. That's not a bad. Ooh, I just got a load of their strength, though, at level 12. Their strength at level 12 is 44.
Yeah, and 72 attack power right now on Xarnax's screen. So that's why we're seeing the grind right now, is he's hoping for a big strength gain here, so that way he can try to take on that red. With the magic armor and the silver shield, he definitely stands a far better chance at beating that red.
Exploration going on. Xarnax is grinding, and nothing is getting found.
Yeah, and it's very brutal, because it seems like any direction that these runners pick, they either find a favorable location where they can just stop and grind for a couple of minutes, or they run into things like green dragons and werewolves and red dragons and blue dragons, and it's just not very conducive to them being able to get much exploration done.
So it looks like Melee might also be doing a little bit of grinding on his own little nice area.
Yeah, it definitely does seem that way. I haven't really paid much attention to the west side of the map here, but it seems like it opens up pretty consistently over here, so we might be finding something new here before too long.
So as you can see now, the experience gap is starting to kind of really show itself here. We have Xarnax with a 600 point experience break to Braxis, who has then 5 to 600 over the other two. Oh, MeleeWizard has found Rimmelsdarn. Looks like he's going to get his.
Green Dragon's pretty friendly with that hurt spell there, so making them a little bit easier of a grind option.
So, but also at level 13, take a look at Xarnax's other stats. 127 HP, 100 MP. That's some impressive stats there. I mean, those are certainly levels. A couple more HP and you're talking Death Necklace range. MP is great for the Dragon Lord. But, of course, you know, attack is nowhere near.
Yeah, that 44 strength is definitely killing him right now. I didn't happen to see if that was the strength at level 13 or level 12, but...
13.
Okay, so it's definitely going to be a seed where we're going to see lots of heavy grinding trying to get to that cap level to where you can actually damage the Dragon Lord and stand a chance of actually killing him.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to be one of those cases where they're definitely going to dive the Charlock Treasury for the Death Necklace unless we start getting a bunch of mega strength.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you there. I'm definitely thinking that we are going to see a full-scale grave search as well, seeing as how all of our runners have now been to the mountain cave. They all know that there wasn't enough for them there to rule out checking those last 2 chests in the grave, and if you're right there in the grave, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. But the Death Necklace is right there in Tablet. That's what we missed. So Tablet Cave has the Death Necklace, and I believe the only runner that hasn't checked Tablet right now is Xarnax. So back to what I was going to talk about is I was going to talk about the short Charlock flag. So it's really nice. I mentioned earlier that it takes you straight to the bottom floor of Charlock, and there's 6 or 7 chests on the treasury floor, and then there's a stairway that leads straight down to what is the vanilla Erdrick sword chest. So
and we have a Garanham find up on MeleeWizard side.
Was that just south of Tablet?
I didn't catch to see where it was in relation to Tablet.
And there's her harp. So MeleeWizard jumping into a very huge lead right now, having 2 of those 3 key items, and this cave right here, it's gotta be the grave. Oh, Swamp South.
Swamp South, so my guess is that this is going to lead to the continent where the grave is.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Breckenary over there too, as is the meme. Seems like no matter how many seeds I play, Breckenary is always on the second continent.
Centroid finding his stones.
It'll be interesting to see if MeleeWizard decides to stop off and check the grind enemy or not here. Because that grind enemy could potentially hold an Axe Knight or a Snowman, which actually wouldn't be too bad of a grind for them right now.
Yeah, but if it's the Red Dragon, then you're pretty much getting sent back to start and have to get your butt all the way back here again. So my guess is he's not going to check it until he sees what's on the... Okay, or prove me wrong.
I've had that very same struggle there myself.
Randomania, thank you very much for your raid, and welcome to this final Dragon Warrior Randomizer League 1 seed of the night. I am Z-Man050778, and with me tonight in the commentary booth is Amuse. Just to kind of give you a brief update on this seed, if any of you are familiar with my commentary and my seed rolling abilities in previous tournaments, this is a Z-Man seed. Period. End of story. The trackers pretty much tell the entire story, and their strength at level 13 is 44. I think that's about all we need to say about this seed. What about you, Amuse? What are you taking away from this seed so far?
Well, I've taken away that you shouldn't outrule YOLO strats, because MeleeWizard, as Beta Strap just pointed out, he put to sleep a red dragon twice. Still ended up losing, unfortunately, but that is some pretty intense odds to overcome. But yeah, this seed has been pretty brutal for these runners. Pretty much every corner that they run to, they're running into something that's breaking them up a little bit. The big thing right now is that only 2 of our runners have found Xarnham. And Xarnham is housing Swamp South, which is what allows them to travel to the second continent, which is going to be guaranteed to have the grave right now, as we know. And so it's going to be a race to see who can find the grave first, because that location is guaranteed to have the final of the 3 items in it.
It probably also has Charlock, because that is something we haven't seen either.
And it's also probably going to be guaranteed to have the Staff Rain Cave, because I don't think I've seen that on the first continent, and they've explored most of it.
Yeah, it's not too far from the castle, I think. I think it's like south and west of the castle.
Okay,
oh, okay.
I must miss that.
There's Charlock.
Charlock! Alright, so Centroid has decided to diverge from the path that MeleeWizard has taken. MeleeWizard dove off to the side and checked that grind enemy in Swamp, which turned out to be a red dragon, which is very unfortunate for him. But Centroid is checking out the second continent, and it doesn't look like it's very big. Well, maybe I'm wrong. It looks like it opens up to the north, but as we know, we're pretty much guaranteed to at least find one of the 3 critical locations that we still have left to find.
Well, of course it has to have a ton of swamp on it. Ugh.
Yeah, and for those of you who just raided over from Randomania, we know that a red dragon in the Hawk's Nest spike tile is currently guarding Erdrick's armor. And with 44 strength at level 13 and Erdrick's sword, you're not dealing quite enough damage to take on that red dragon.
Oh yeah, did we also mention that a red dragon's on the spike tile in the swamp? Because it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a very, very brutal seed for them. Looks like Centroid falls to the red dragon. He came close though. He was at about I want to say 81 damage or something like that to the red dragon there. So that was very close. So we're starting to see that HP climb up to a high enough level to potentially take him on. And then we have Xarnax finding South Swamp. And immediately going back out of Xarnham. He's probably going to check the tablet cave that's just north of it.
So really right now, this is kind of setting up to be one of those seeds where the first person to get heal more is probably going to have a really distinct advantage, because you're not going to take out that red dragon without heal more. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, I think whoever reaches 17 is probably going to be the first to Erdrick's sword, and then it's just how much past 17 are we going for strength. So right now, experience kind of sort of seems like it's going to be the rate controller of this seed, how quickly that these guys will finish it.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, and with only 3 enemies giving max experience, one of them being the red dragon, one of them being the metal slime, and the other one being the golem. There's not really an efficient grind here for some of these later levels. I think the best overworld enemy that we've seen so far that's fairly friendly is the green dragon, and that's only worth 135 experience.
Yeah, and we haven't seen too many armored knights, nor have we seen really too many blue dragons. Magi wyverns that MeleeWizard just ran into are devilish with sleep and hurt.
Yeah, sleep and hurt more, and then we had a couple of enemies with Dragon Lord 2 Breath. They were the wizard and the blue dragon respectively, and blue dragons are even more nasty because they have sleep to compound it. I want Xarnax to pull up his screen so that way that I can see his stats. I didn't happen to catch what the level up for level 14 was, did you?
No, I didn't, but let's see if I can futz with it on the tracker. Nope. Oh, Xarnax finds Rimildar, so he's actually going to take the lead as far as key items go. He's going to have the harp, the staff, and the stones.
Yeah, and he already knows where Garenham is, so he's going to realistically know that his next move is going to be Swamp South, and checking onto that second continent to see if he can pick up the token there. I believe he's found coal. He might not have, but I think that would be a very logical play, seeing as how Rimildar is actually pretty close to Garenham.
I don't think he's seen coal yet. I think Xarnax is the only one that hasn't.
Well, I've been wrong before. It certainly wouldn't be the last time I've been wrong. So looking at some of this divergence here, we have a couple of them that have some top tier equipment, and then one that has some mid tier equipment, and then we have Braxis Muse, who has decided to completely forgo the armor. So it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out for him when he actually has to go for that Erdrick's armor there.
Yeah, and not having a shield, that might come back to bite him too, because the shield is one of the cheaper ways to get defense other than the silver shield, but the large shield gives you actually some pretty solid defense.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, but with them not having, he hasn't found the grave yet. He knows he still has to find the grave, so I'm wondering if he's saving that gold grind for the end. It could be possible he could forgo it, and with the way the seed is going, we've got plenty of level potential to actually get to the point where we can get, plenty of agility, and Silver Shield might not end up being needed.
Oh, well, this is interesting over on Braxis' side. It looks like Armored Knights do primarily sleep and hurt. So a stop spell really makes the Armored Knights easy to...
Yeah, that's definitely a very friendly Armored Knight to see. Armored Knights typically are referred to as AKs, because they hit you like one. They have very high physical attack power, and so they hit you for a boatload of damage. So it's very nice to see them actually being pretty friendly, so that way that you don't have to worry about running away from them.
So, looking at Xarnax's HP, he got a pretty good HP gain at level 14 here, as he has now maximum at 133. And Centroid finally makes his way to Garenham, so he's going to pick up... he's actually going to go to the other continent and see if he can't find everything else that's over there. Braxis is on his way to eventually finding Garen.
Braxis has already found, hasn't found Garenham yet, but we do have MeleeWizard at the top of the grave. Nothing lucrative in the top 3 chests, so hopefully we find it on the next available chest instead of having to dive all the way down. It being the token.
Now, it looks like Xarnax is going to follow Melee into the grave.
Yeah, Xarnax and MeleeWizard are actually pretty close together. Xarnax has a little bit of the experience lead, but MeleeWizard is well on his way to the token, a little bit ahead of him, and he already knows where the Staff Rain Cave is. So he's got very little to do to actually get to the end of the game.
Accepting the fact that, you know, the Erdrick's armor is basically a required item, and you got to go through a rather brutal red dragon to get it.
Yep, and as I was saying earlier, the red dragon might not turn out to be as rough as we are anticipating it, because both MeleeWizard and Xarnax both have the silver shield and the magic armor. So we might see them try to take on the red dragon here before too long, depending upon what the strength gain is at level 15, which is actually coming up here pretty quickly. And Braxis Muse has made his way into Garenham, and he will be rewarded with his silver harp here, and the knowledge that the second continent is just behind its back door.
And Braxis has found Sherlock, so I'm pretty sure all 4 of our runners have found Sherlock now. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think all of them happen to pass by it. Interesting that that MeleeWizard decided to try to run from the Armored Knights before doing anything else. He took a little bit of a risk there, but then learned that he's got a pretty good chance of casting spells, so now he's taking them on. Looks like Xarnax has made his way into Breckenary and quickly exited out, realizing he doesn't really need that much of an in-stop, so he's just going to continue forward. I think that right now the only thing that Xarnax has not found is the Jerk.
Well, Braxis is going to look at the spike tile here in the swamp cave.
And is very, very disappointed indeed. Definitely saw some hesitation as to whether he was going to try to outlast it or not. Looks like he's trying to outlast the Red Dragon with some herbs there. If we get a chance to ask him, we'll have to ask him what the thought process there is, because that Red Dragon on average is going to be dealing much more damage than an herb is going to be able to replenish. And it looks like Centroid picking up his Airdrix token here.
And Melee popping in to get his staff a ring. I'm sorry, that was Braxis.
Yeah, Melee healing up to try to take on this Red Dragon again. Unfortunately, back attacked. Gonna try for the YOLO sleep. Do you know if MeleeWizard picked up the coordinates at all?
I'm not 100% sure, but I would imagine they all have them by now. I know Centroid and Braxis have each tried to count it out and didn't work. Xarnax did count it out and it did.
Yeah, so that's at least 3 out of the 4 of them. I believe level 15 is at 5,000 experience with very fast experience, correct?
I think so. Right, because level 15 is 10,000 experience. No, wait. 9750? Oh, 10.
On 75% experience or fast experience growth, 9750 is the benchmark for, I believe it's level 16.
Oh, right, okay. I'll have to, gotta get a table up then.
So yes, we will be seeing level 15 at 5,000 experience, and then their next benchmark after that, it's going to be 6,500 experience.
There you go. And it looks like we're about to hit that level up on Braxis' side. This battle is going to take him up and over level 15. So let's see what we get for level 15. Alright, let's see what we get. Power 7. That's nice response speed. Of course, no stat check for us.
That's true, but we do know that we got some decent gains there, and looking at Xarnax's screen, dealing 20 damage to that armored knight there. It looks like they have a decent amount of strength. They might be pushing about 90 or 95 attack power at this point.
So Centroid, I believe, just went to the jerk before turning in his Staff of Rain, or his harp for the Staff of Rain. Whoops.
And that is an unfortunate mistake that I have made several times myself.
I think we've all made that mistake once or twice.
It's right up there on par with making the mistake to attack the Dragon Lord with 42 HP.
Well, Braxis is going to try his hand at this red dragon.
HP. It's gonna be close. Especially if that red dragon keeps rolling 20s.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the damage output. Oh, got him! Oh, how about that?
That right there was a max roll on that red dragon right there. And that is huge for Braxis Muse. So not only does Erdrick's armor be the strongest defense boost in the game, it comes with a whole bunch of perks as well. It reduces all incoming hurt and hurt more damage by 1/3. It restores 1 HP with every step you take. It removes any damage-bearing tiles, the damage that they do to you, so he can walk over swamp, barrier, any of it, and he won't take damage from it. It also makes you 100% resistant to stop spells as well.
And it also cuts fire breath by 1/3, I believe.
That is correct. I did miss that one. With the Erdrick's armor now, the weaker breath that we had talked about a little bit earlier now has a damage range of 8 to 14, and the Dragon Lord 2 breath has a damage range of 42 to 48. All of those numbers are even numbers. There are no odd numbers. It's Beta Strip is pointing out in chat, he definitely was questioning Braxis Muse fighting that red dragon without armor. And Braxis Muse definitely got very lucky with that red dragon. That red dragon had 2 very close to minimum damage rolls on him. So, got very fortunate with that fight. He was able to make it happen.
Centroid also gets to level 15 of a Metal Slime kill, and Xarnax is going to the inn in Breckenary.
Yeah, it looks like he's decided to grind just southwest of the grave here. There's actually some pretty decent enemies over here, so it's a fairly quick and efficient grind. They're definitely enemies that give you much more experience much more quickly, but this is pretty efficient. I like it quite a bit. And Xarnax is a little bit under 1,000 experience to get to the next level, so I definitely give him props to him for his ability to keep that experience lead.
So, this is an interesting development here on Braxis' side. He checked the spike tile. Oh, he got the fairy flute with counting, and that was, wow, that was impressive.
Yeah, he had a couple of failed attempts earlier, but was able to get it, and he decides to hold on to that flute just in case, because as we saw earlier, golems are not friendly in this seed. They do have the sleep spell.
So at this point, Braxis has to know that what he's looking for is in the grave, which is on the other continent, so he has to get his butt back to Garen.
With him hesitating there, I'm thinking that he is kind of scratching his head a little bit, trying to figure out what it is that he's missed. There was definitely a little bit of hesitation on that stream there. And then we see Centroid is also making his attempt at Hawksness here as well. Much better shape than Braxis was with that half plate and silver shield. But those red dragons, they really pack a punch, so it's still going to be up to chance whether or not he wins. But if he was able to take the red dragon here, he would definitely be in a position to take first for sure. We see MeleeWizard making a dive into Sharlock. What could he be looking for here?
Levels? I mean, maybe he's just trying to find an enemy that's relatively easy to kill. He does know that the Armored Knights are very susceptible to Stop Spell, so maybe he's hoping that there are a bunch of Armored Knights down.
See, normally that would make sense, but he's taken the route that goes right by the treasury. It would make more sense to me to go for the spike tile in that case. But I definitely think you are right. I don't think that he's really gonna search the treasury.
So all four of these racers are very close to each other in experience points. This is anybody's game still at this point.
I mean, you have Braxis Muse that only has to find the token, and we know where the token is already. Xarnax just needs to defeat the Red Dragon and Hawksness, so that way that he can get his armor. Centroid, in very much the same position, just needs the armor and a few levels, and then you have Melee, which has all the required items, except for the armor. So it's a very, very close game. Everybody just one thing short of being able to beat the game.
Well, of being able to grind and beat the game, because there's still a fair amount of grinding to go. You know, at most these guys have 51 strength at level 15. I'm not exactly sure what the exact total is. But their strength is definitely an issue. It's not setting up that this is going to be a level 17 seed.
No, definitely not. But as we approach those later levels, it's going to we're going to start seeing the naming system start coming into play. So the longer the seed goes on without strength, the more likely it is that we're going to see one of those obligatory big strength growth seed levels. And I wouldn't mind seeing it at level 17, and I'm sure these runners wouldn't either.
Xarnax doesn't get the damage rolls.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate there. One thing that I'm kind of a little bit surprised at is that these runners haven't decided to put on the death necklace yet, even though 3 of them already have it. That would be a huge strength boost when it came to taking on that red dragon. It would put them to the point where they might actually be able to take him on a little bit more efficiently. So I'm a little surprised to see somebody not quite take the risk. I know there's a lot of grinding left to go, but they've got plenty of HP to work with. And Centroid falling to the red dragon again. Let's see if Xarnax has some better luck. Starts off with a 22 and then 20. 22. Looks like he might get him. Yes, he does. Excellent. So he's going to pick up his armor, and he is now ready to just go and grind. Excellent. Thank you so much, Math Girl. It looks like you have fixed us up a little bit here. "52 strength right now at level 15. That is just brutal. So, the way that things are looking out, my guesstimate is going to be probably level 19 for finishing the game. It looks like we have Braxis Muse trying to find the Jerk Cave. Looks like he might not be 100% sure on where it's at. Meanwhile, Xarnax is once again falling to the Red Dragon. I think he did pick up his armor, didn't he? Maybe not. Maybe I missed it. But I thought that he had defeated the Red Dragon, so I would assume he has it. So. And Betastrap pointing out that he's 28 strength away from being able to utilize the Death Necklace to kill the Dragon Lord. So. And it looks like these runners are trying to utilize this red dragon in order to gain a lot of experience all at once. Not a bad idea, but not a very efficient grind. I would say that I'd probably be siding with Centroid with taking on some of these green dragons and taking on some of these little bit lower tier Sherlock enemies that are just much more friendly and much more easy to grind off of. And once again, Beta Strut making an excellent point into once they reach level 17, they will most likely be defense breaking the first version of the Dragon Lord, with them already having 89 defense. So, attack power, once again, not a whole lot of boost, just 1 point at level 16. Xarnax holding on to that experience lead just barely.
Okay, I do apologize for going there. Just technical difficulties there, but I am back.
I'm off the mic for just a second here. I'm gonna grab a quick drink now that you're back. You didn't miss much of a level at level 16, only 1 strength gain there.
All right, so now we are definitely in the grind phase here. Figure out who's going to get to that level 17 and that heal more first. Their HP is certainly more than enough to throw on the Death Knuckles and get that extra 10 attack power at the cost of 25% of their HP. Their MP is going to be just fine. Now the question is, when are they going to get enough attack power to make the Dragon Lord a viably beatable enemy? So right now, looking at their stats, Xarnax has just a shade under 1,000. Melee has a shade over 1,000. Braxis is at 6,300. And Centroid is at 6,500. So Melee has a slight advantage in experience at this point. Xarnax isn't far behind, and Braxis and Centroid are pretty much neck and neck there. It looks like Braxis is going to go check the spike tile over in the Sherlock Castle. Hopefully it's going to do better than, the Red Dragon spike tiles.
And I definitely agree with that, and I'm back. I'm so sorry about having to step away.
That happens to everybody.
Yeah, so now that we've kind of reached a point where everybody is just in grind and go, let's talk a little bit about what these runners are going to be looking for from these levels. So we've talked a lot about strength, we've talked a lot about HP, so the reason why those stats are so important and why our runners are running with a very high strength and HP growth is because you need enough HP to be able to survive 2 attacks from the Dragon Lord and still be able to heal in between those 2 attacks. So the Dragon Lord has the Dragon Lord 2 breath that we talked about, so we know about the damage there. It's a 42 to 48 damage range, and his physical attack is pretty mean as well. We're going to be looking at, I believe it's 24 to 48 at this point right now. Might see it a little bit higher by the time we get to the level we actually need. So hopefully that works out. And then we're also going to be looking for enough attack power to actually take him on efficiently. So the way that the damage is calculated for the Dragon Lord is the Dragon Lord has 100 defense. So it's your attack power minus 100 for his defense. And then you're going to take that number and you're going to divide it by 2. And once you divide it by 2, that will give you the maximum damage that you can do to the Dragon Lord. And then you take the maximum damage that you can do to the Dragon Lord, divide it by 2, and that'll give you your minimum damage. And in Randomizer, he can have an HP range, I believe it's from 153 to 165, I think is the correct numbers there. And so that'll tell you roughly what your average damage is going to be and how many attacks you need in order to defeat the Dragon Lord.
The Ferret 60, yes, everybody has found Sherlock, everybody has the Rainbow Drop, everybody has everything that they need at this point but levels. And this is what we're waiting on right now is, who gets to the right level first. I mean, unless they get some sort of stupid stat growth coming up shortly here at level 17, we're probably looking at 18, 19, maybe even 20, depending on how long it takes to find that big strength boost. Oh, 8 strength is not bad.
And thank you to Beta Strap for correcting me. The Dragon Lord can have 150 to 165 HP. Elastoid, I believe everybody except for Xarnax has picked up the Death Necklace. The Death Necklace was in Tablet Cave, which he decided not to dive. Alright, so based on what we've seen this seed, we're seeing some pretty friendly enemies in Sherlock as well. What are your hopes for walking through the bottom floor with these stats right now? Encounter-wise.
I mean, really, Stoneman might actually be the best encounter because you can put him to sleep, and they're not going to do terrible damage to you. Stoneman might be the best thing to grind on here at the zap spot here in Sherlock. I think that's going to be the best bang for your buck, I think.
Yeah, and they give 155 experience, so he's gaining. MeleeWizard is gaining 100 experience less than Xarnax is with the Red Dragons. But the Stoneman is so much more of an efficient grind that he has actually closed the gap and is now gaining ground ahead of Xarnax. So it's a quite a big difference, and pretty impressive that he was able to make that distinction early on when he was trying to grind the Red Dragons as well.
Yeah, agreed. Now, you seem to be very good with the number. Question, how much is this 20 defense power difference between Melee, Xarnax, Centroid, and Braxis going to do to Dragonlord 2's attack on Braxis' side? Is Dragonlord 2 attack going to max out at something over 50?
So the way that Dragonlord melee damage works is you take your defense and divide it by half. Then you take the Dragonlord's attack power, you subtract your defense from it, and then divide that number by 2, and that gives you his maximum damage. And then you take the maximum damage, divide that by 2, that gives you his minimum damage. So it's a very similar formula to how we calculate how much damage we're dealing to him, except for we have a little bit less defense that gets subtracted from his attack power. And give me just a second, I don't quite remember what his attack...
So if I kind of hear you right, and it's just a difference of 20, so take that divided by 2, so we're looking at a 53 max damage? Maybe 54?
I'm currently looking up what his attack power is, because I don't remember it off the top of my head, so give me just a second.
Sure, take your time. We're just watching these guys grind away.
Okay, so the Dragonlord has 140 attack power. So half of Braxis Muse's defense is going to be half of 68 because it rounds to the nearest even number that's not going up. So it's going to be half of 68, so it'll be 34 defense, 140 minus 34, so that's going to be 106 right there. You divide that by 2, his maximum damage is going to be 53 damage, and his minimum damage is going to be half of that, so it'd be half of 52. So 26 to 53 is what we're seeing currently for Braxis Muse. So the 89 defense power that MeleeWizard has, half of 88 is 44, so we're going to be looking at 96 there for his attack that's left over. Divide that by 2, that gives you 48 for the maximum damage there, and half of that would be 24.
So basically, the Death Necklace isn't really going to be an option for Braxis at this point, because, okay, so you lose 25% of your HP, so 25% off of 150, that's what, 30? Right, 20, or yeah, 15 and 15 is 30, and 7 is 37. 150 minus 37. Well, no, it'd still be doable, because then that's going to be 113, I think. So yeah, okay. So Death Necklace is still viable given that extraordinarily high HP total.
Yeah, and the HP has been very generous to them as well. The Death Necklace, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, has actually been in play for quite a while. I believe it's 130 HP is the benchmark that you're looking at to see whether or not you can use it. Level 18 gives us up to 64 strength, and so that gives us 106 attack power, and the Death Necklace and Randomizer will add 10 attack power to your total at the cost of 25% of your HP. So that would only put them at 116, which means that they would be dealing 4 to 8 damage to the Dragonlord, and even with these higher HP totals, I believe his HP total at that point would be like 115 or 116. It just wouldn't be anywhere near enough, because we don't have enough MP to offset the number of heal bars you're going to need.
So, and as the last toy kind of alludes to in chat here, I'm a little surprised we haven't seen any of these guys put on the death necklace to help them grind a little quicker. You know, especially the, oh, stone men have Dragon Lord 2 breath. That's bad. But anyways, given that, you know, Melee and Braxis are grinding here in Charlock, and that Brecconary's on the same continent as Charlock, I would wonder if it wouldn't be quicker for these guys to put on the death necklace and make sure you get out of Tantagil before you die.
Yeah, and the only way to remove the cursed status, if you should so desire to do so, is going to be to go to the town of Brecconary, which we know is northwest of the grave on the second continent. So that's quite a bit out of the way to have that risk there. So I kind of see it a little bit more now than I did before. When I was talking about utilizing it in order to take on the Red Dragon more efficiently. So right now I think that the best course of action for these runners is going to be continuing to kill the enemies in Charlock and try to get a little bit more strength. And once they have enough strength to bring them up to 120 attack power, I think that's when we will see the Death Necklace used.
Oh, it looks like Melee's actually going to go back to Garenham to heal up.
And that's actually a pretty good call on his part, because most of the enemies that are in here are worth some decent experience, and he can take him out in 1 or 2 hits, and he's defense breaking all of them.
So interesting to note, when it comes to the experience battle here, Xarnax has retaken the experience.
Yeah, and that has to do with level 17 putting them up at 61 strength, giving him an attack power of 101. So he's going to be dealing much more damage to those red dragons. Attack power of 104 minus 45, you're sitting right at the 55 benchmark, 54 benchmark. So you divide that by 2, your maximum damage is 27, and your minimum damage is 13. So you're going to be seeing much more high consistent rolls from him, and so it makes this red dragon grind much safer.
Elastoid, yes, Xarnax found the fighter's ring. I kind of forgot to mark it. Excuse me.
Yeah, and answering Elastoid here, talking about Brecconary not being relevant because of the Death Necklace and that kind of a thing, with Stonemen being the most efficient grind that we have right now, they have the Dragon Lord 2 breath, so it might be fortuitous for him to do it, but I don't know. I kind of on the fence with it, so I definitely see the point that you're making there, that they're going to stay with it, especially seeing as how Erdrick's armor heals you as you walk.
And Xarnax is now starting to pull away in the experience lead here. Meanwhile, Centroid is catching up to MeleeWizard. So it does look like that, once you get to level 18, this Red Dragon grind is the place to be.
And it looks like Xarnax has actually hit level 19 already. I didn't pick up the stat gains on that, but it looks like MeleeWizard just passed right by it. I caught the 2, the 1, and the 8. I didn't catch what the strength gain was, though. And there it is. So 4 points of strength gained. So we're almost there. We're crawling there.
Okay, so you put on the Death Necklace here. You're talking about 120 attack power, right? Which means your damage output will be 5 to 10. So 7.5 damage on average. If let's assume 160 is the average HP, you're looking at, what is that? That's 20 some odd, 21, 22, 23, 23-ish attacks. And you're going to get some double attacks even with the Death Necklace. And you've got 15 heal mores. It's almost doable at level 19 with the Death Necklace. You need to get some good rolls, but I think it might be doable.
And I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree that it's doable. Right now, I would say that your chances of winning against the Dragon Lord with these particular stats, with the Death Necklace equipped, rolling on average, the Dragon Lord is not going to give you too many double rolls. I'd say you probably have about 3 or 4 on average, depending upon how often he breathes fire on you. So you'd probably be at about a 40-45% chance to win right now with these particular stats. So I'm definitely agreeing with seeing these runners going up to level 20, which Xarnax picks up an extra 5 attack power, 15 speed, another 10 HP. What is this seed?
So, Brax has put on the Death Necklace and is going to go fight the Dragon Lord at level 7.
Yeah, and I can't fault him for trying to rush here. He doesn't have the defense power. He doesn't have the attack power. He doesn't have a whole bunch of HP to work with. This is a respectable call, though. He wants to see how close he is to actually being able to take him out. And right now, it's not looking good for him, especially seeing as how he's rolling those average rolls, very average rolls. So I just don't think that he quite has it yet. Dragon Lord is definitely the favorite in that particular fight. I would say.
So Xarnax has gotten to level 20.
Yep, and that bumped him up to 73 strength. So we are just barely underneath of that threshold. We need another 5 attack power for the fight to be comfortable. The fight actually could be pretty comfortable right now, actually. 125 attack power is not terrible, and that's what he would have with the Death Necklace. So you figure 10% of 170 is 17, so that's 34, plus 8. So 8 plus 34, 42. So he's still got almost 130 HP with the Death Necklace equipped. I would say that this would probably be the level that I would dive at.
Yeah, I was going to say that this certainly seems like the right level to dive. I'm not sure why Xarnax isn't beelining it to the Dragon Lord. Speaking of, Braxis Muse is still plugging away at this Dragon Lord here. Don't think he's going to get it, but you never know. Weirder things have happened.
So, Elastoid pointing out the reason for us, Xarnax didn't pick up the Death Necklace because he didn't dive Tablet.
Oh my god, you're right.
And this could be what gives Centroid and MeleeWizard the advantage here. They're pretty close to him in experience. Not quite there, but pretty close. And it could be that one of them is able to get up to that level 20 benchmark and take on the Dragon Lord. And unfortunately, Braxis Muse unable to overcome the sway of the Dragon Lord and his overwhelming odds to win.
So now Braxis has got to walk to a town and heal himself up.
Yeah, and Beta Strep pointing out Melee will probably go for it at level 20 since he does have the Death Necklace. And I definitely agree with that. 125 attack power, 15 heal mores. You got about a 75 to 80% chance to win against the Dragon Lord. That's a pretty good chance for him.
Yeah, agreed. So Melee is back grinding on the Stoneman here to get to level 20. Now he's going to need to go leave and heal up. before fighting the Dragon Lord, because he has used a bunch of his MP.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. And we already know that level 20 didn't really hold much in the way of attack power. I think that what Xarnax has got going on right now is he's going to dive into Sharlock, and he's going to see if the Death Necklace is in the Sharlock treasury. This is actually a pretty good move on his part, seeing as how there's 7 chests in Sharlock altogether.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're definitely going to see all 7 chests checked, the 6 in the treasury and the 1 in the vanilla spot. Centroid is meanwhile now heading back into, or he's going into Sharlock now, also at level 19.
And Braxis Muse taking down Dragon Lord with, or not Dragon Lord, the Red Dragon, with that boost in attack power and just able to outlast him. So this is why I was talking about it a little bit earlier. It makes these Red Dragons a little bit more easy to handle.
So Xarnax isn't going to check the treasury. He's going to grind on the spike tile here until he gets to level 21, hopefully not use any MP, and just go.
And he's going to be very dissatisfied to see that the enemy that stands in front of him is a stone man with Dragon Lord Breath. Dragon Lord Breath seems to only be a 25% chance, but that's rolling pretty heavily, so especially with them being a common enemy on the floor.
And Melee is grinding past level 20. Elastoid, to answer your question, chat wants Hurtmore's chance of hitting 1 in 16. 1 in 16.
We have Centroid going for the Dragon Lord. So he is now dealing 5 to 10 damage.
This is gonna be close.
Yeah, it's gonna be very close. That Dragon Lord right there casting Stop Spell is huge. He's defense breaking Dragon Lord 1 as well, so he's not taking nearly as much damage. He's still gonna be looking for a double attack, and unfortunately ended up killing him. So let's see how this unfolds. And the back attack.
I think this battle will give Xarnax a level 21. Let's see what these stats do.
For attack power, 14 more speed. Holy cow.
And he does have the Death Necklace and puts it on. This is free. This is free.
Yeah, Xarnax definitely has this fight pretty much guaranteed. He's 1 point below what we would consider comfortable attack power, but he has 130 HP, he has 130 MP. He's definitely got this made.
So the question now becomes, if can Centroid kill the Dragon Lord, or does Xarnax just do flat out enough damage to pass Centroid in this fight? I mean, I've seen it before that somebody that enters the Dragon Lord fight 30 seconds behind can still win based on that 1 level, but in this case Xarnax has 2 and 9 more strength. So let's see what happens.
Unfortunately, I don't think that Centroid can win at this point. The reason that I say that is he was back attacking and immediately had to heal more on the first turn. So he was definitely in a position where he started down MP, and I just don't think he has the resources anymore to pull it off.
Looks like we have Melee and Braxis kind of doing their own grind thing, and we have Xarnax and Centroid going up against the Dragon Lord too, but Centroid is not in a good spot right now. Xarnax is in a much better spot.
Oh, and he takes that low percentage death there. That's brutal. So 47 damage was 1 point below the Dragon Lord's max. So the Dragon Lord could have rolled about 20 other numbers and would have been able to live through it. And him attacking there would have been huge. It would have put him in a position to where he could have possibly won there. That's just very unfortunate to see.
Meanwhile, Xarnax just slow and steady.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of min rolls out of Xarnax too. I believe that's the second or third 7 damage that I've seen out of it.
Oh, either you got a lot of early high rolls, or this Dragon Lord didn't roll much in the way of HP, because Xarnax has... And ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs out in chat. Xarnax42 has finished in first place in this race with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 6 seconds. Well,
yes, definitely congratulations to Xarnax. That was a hard-fought seed that was very close throughout most of the seed, and it just blew me away because it seemed like he was a little bit behind before, and now he's coming back and he's made it. Alright, and MeleeWizard not too far off on that level 21 benchmark that he's looking for there. We'll see how quickly he can get there. But he's looking to take a pretty close second place here. Centroid might try for the Dragon Lord again. I would say it would be safe to bet that he's going to try to grind off of the Stubman as well here, though.
And with that chime, I do believe we have Xarnax42 joining us in Discord. Xarnax, congratulations on one heck of a seed.
Thank you. Yes, it was. Wow.
So yeah, what did, amongst everything that was quite difficult about this seed, what did you kind of think was the worst?
Well, for me, I felt really good about my first half hour or so until I found Erdrick's sword. And then I felt way behind the entire race. I think I spent the last 45 minutes like looking at IRC every 30 seconds expecting somebody to dot done.
Well, that actually didn't hurt you quite so bad. Yeah, were you the last one to find Erdrick's sword? Yes, you were, but you were also the first one to grind and get the max equipment. And you probably were the first one to grind by a good 10 or 15 minutes. So you did have that advantage of having Flame Magic Silver way earlier than everybody else.
Okay, so everyone was watching 4 different streams, and I know how hard that is to follow. So I don't know how many people picked up on my the grind that I had with the flame sword before I dove into Mountain Cave again. Okay, so that zone, I was just getting Wolf Lord and Rogue Scorpions over and over. I think I got 3,000 experience almost off those, and it eventually I ran into a red dragon, and I was like, oh, I must have accidentally walked outside that zone. So I went back there to grind later, and no, there were red dragons in the zone I was grinding, and I think I did about 20 encounters without seeing one. I got insanely lucky there.
Yeah, for sure, and it definitely came down to some decision making here. You making the decision to grind over in Hawksness. MeleeWizard actually overtook you when you were at level 18, because he was grinding the Stone Man that was in Sharlock, and then once you hit level 18, you had enough attack power to make the Red Dragon safe enough to grind, and you were able to actually close up the gap and actually overtake him. So that was definitely a good decision on your part.
Thanks. Yeah, I know Beta Strap was pointing out that my early Red Dragon grinds, when I kept dying, were not a good decision, and I knew that, and I kept doing it anyway. Partly because I felt so far behind. Like I felt like I had to just get lucky and get a few kills until I got heal more. And luck. I mean, I had plenty of deaths to that Red Dragon. It was definitely not any faster than going back to those Armored Knights, but luckily it didn't end up costing me.
So, I actually talked a little bit earlier about it in the seed. You guys have the Death Necklace pretty early on in the HP to use it pretty early on.
Really wanted to use it. Really wanted to use it. But I was depending so much on the Death Warp refill. It just didn't make sense.
Okay, fair enough. So Cantlin was just east of the castle, so would that have made enough of a difference versus how quickly you would have been taking down the Red Dragon, though?
Oh yeah, that's a significant walk for as often as I was dying.
But hey, you definitely powered through this seed, though. I mean, there was death all over the place in this seed. You had those blue dragons that breathes fire. You had those Magiwyverns that did the sleep hurt more trick. Golems with sleep. And I also got to say, that was an impressive job of counting out the coordinates there for the Fairy Flute.
Oh, thanks. I kind of did it in 2 separate. Right after I got the coordinates, I went right back. I went right back to Cantlin after a gold grind, and so on my way down to Cantlin, all I counted was the north-south. I actually found out that Cantlin was a beautiful 42 steps south of Tantagel. And then when I bought my equipment, I counted out another 20 and just kind of eyeballed that, or like made a mark of where it was, kept exploring, and then when I died again after that, counted out how many west I had traveled to get to Cantlin, and then found my eye marker, and then counted back the spots east. So it was 2 or 3 passes through that walk where I kind of put it all together.
Yeah, and it definitely worked out for you pretty early on, because you were able to discern that the armor was indeed in Hawksness before anybody else was.
Yeah, it didn't help me maybe as much as it should have. I don't know. After I got the token in Garen's grave, I jumped back out and was walking around. I was looking for coal because it had been so long since I had seen it. I forgot that the Fairy Flute was in there for a while. And I was thinking, maybe I'll find coal and get the armor there, and then eventually I realized. No, that wasn't going to happen. 2 Dragon Lord fights here. 19, probably a little early.
Yeah, Centroid has done 2 attempts at level 19, and neither have gone particularly well.
Yeah, I felt even 20 was going to be pushing it. I thought I'd probably get enough doubles that it would be, I'd be favored, but it certainly wasn't free even at 20.
No, we were making that comment even with you and with MeleeWizard. We're like, do they go at 20? Don't they? Do they? It was definitely borderline. I think Datastrep in chat mentioned that you were probably a favorite, but it wasn't a heavy favorite. And then 21 came in like, okay, this is free.
Yeah, I'm man, I got way more doubles than I should have. It was beautiful.
Now, that said, it does look like Braxis is actually doing half... Well, okay, I say that and he gets a 5. So, I should just...
Yeah, I mean, with good rolls, I'm sure it's possible. But man, you gotta get lucky.
Yeah, he's been getting pretty lucky right now. I believe that he's about halfway there, and he's only about halfway through his MP, so he's pretty close. It's going to depend upon this last tier of rolls here.
And on, what Dragon Lord deals as far as physical damage, because again, Braxis doesn't have any shield.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he only has 70 attack power right now, and so he's taking a boatload of damage from the Dragon Lord physical attacks.
Yeah, I think this is ultimately for Braxis going to be close, but no cigar, I think.
Yeah, the Dragon Lord is definitely a favorite because he breathed fire on him and took him down to ranged where he had to heal more. And once again, right here at that 48 benchmark, that is such a hard decision to make right there. He knows he's behind, but he knows that he doesn't realistically have a choice. He's got like a 25% chance or so for the Dragon Lord to kill him there. It's a hard call to make.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have MeleeWizard. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get out your GGs. MeleeWizard has finished in second place in this race with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 14 seconds. Well done.
GG. Yeah, these are really interesting flags when your strength is this slow to grow. Actually, it was really funny. I remember during my early gold grind, when I got all the equipment, I was thinking to myself, yeah, I really hope Hurt More isn't anytime soon, because this will pay off. The longer it takes to get it, the more it'll pay off. And then I think it was level 7 when I got Sleep, I remembered the flag is set so you learn them in vanilla levels.
So Braxis unfortunately does die to the Dragon Lord and is going to, looks like, climb to level 20, which is what Centroid is doing as well. And we are waiting MeleeWizard to join us here in the commentator's booth for a little chat about the seed. I'm sure, Xarnax, you and Melee can commiserate some over this one. Speaking of, we have MeleeWizard joining us in Discord. Melee, good job. Congratulations getting through that.
GG, man.
And Push to Talk claims yet another victim.
Yeah, I don't particularly enjoy it, but hey, it's a thing.
So, Melee, what are your thoughts on that wonderful little piece of seed there?
Well, it started with me having a heck of a time finding anything. So I'm curious, Xarnax, what level did you end up going after Dragon Lord at?
Yeah, 21 was my first attempt. I didn't even try before that.
Yeah, same. It's like when you need the death necklace to hit double digits, you know you're in a rough situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm just amazed that I got second. It's like, what? I've already overachieved myself here.
Yeah, I was telling them, I think it was about an hour and 15 minutes in when I started looking at IRC, expecting somebody to finish.
Yeah, I usually make a habit of minimizing it. I brought it back up during I think it was my second grind, and I was amazed no one had finished yet either.
Yeah, so just to give you a little heads up on that, Melee, Braxis and Centroid have both tried at 19. Braxis probably got 75% of the way there. Centroid maybe about the same, but neither fight has been particularly close at 19 with the Death Knight.
Well, I can imagine, I think at 19 the range would have been like 4 to 8 or something like that.
5 to 10.
Yeah, 5 to 10. It's like, when I was looking at that, I was doing the math. It's like, no. No. Especially since that's after the Death Necklace, and if you fail, you're stuck outside of Tantagel with 1 health, if memory's...
Yes.
I think that's not a huge concern with Cantlin as close by as it was.
Well, yeah, that's true. One thing that amazed me is I felt like I clutched that one Red Dragon fight to get in Hawksness. I was amazed. I didn't think I had done enough damage on that.
Yeah, you were actually the first one to get Eredric's armor.
Oh, nice.
With that clutch attack.
Wow.
And as Elastoid brings up in chat, Braxis actually tried at level 17 to go after the Dragon Lord with the Death Necklace and with no shield. He still has no shield.
Oh, wow, that is... It's just, that siege just... It didn't want to give you any strength at all after, like, the first couple levels. It was fine. It was pretty fine early, so you're able to take out enemies early on, but when it came to getting strong enough to fight the Dragon Lord, it just wasn't there.
Yeah, the mid grind was pretty nasty.
Not to mention that there really weren't that many areas. Maybe Mountain Cave was decent enough for like the mid game because there was like wyverns and knights, and those weren't so bad. But when the trap tiles you have access to are both red dragons, ow!
Right. If they had cast spells, that would have helped. But they were. Yeah, I mean.
Mid-game, Xarnax actually had a really nice... Well, it was a nice grinding spot that he got terribly lucky in, granted, but he found a really nice grinding spot in the mid-game. Where was that? Was that just, like, southwest of Cantlin-ish?
Yeah, it was just south of Jerk Cave. It was kind of a dead end.
Yeah, wasn't there like green dragons and such in that region of things?
So, yeah, I think there were green dragons right there, and then if you went a little bit south, it was... So, I mean, you'd almost have to watch my grind again to realize how lucky I was. I'm trying to remember, I think I went from level 10 almost to level 14.
I thought it was closer to level 8 to 14.
Maybe it was. And I encountered, it was almost exclusively rogue scorpions and wolf lords with the occasional droll. And so, yeah.
Oh yeah, rogue scorpion, those were nice. Those were everywhere.
So I got 5 levels in a zone without ever seeing that it had red dragons in it.
Oh wow. That's some luck right there.
And we have
Yeah, I didn't really grind until the end game. I just took encounters as I went because it felt like I was getting lost trying to find some of these places.
Yeah, it was definitely a windy map. Something that was pretty easy to get lost on. MeleeWizard, you had actually picked up Tablet and didn't find Garanham until quite a bit later. It looks like you missed it by just like half a screen or something like that. So it definitely was a map that was hiding stuff on you guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Melee, you were the first one to find the token, and it really wasn't even that close. I mean, you probably had the token a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes before anybody.
When I found Garen's grave, I was kind of banking on something good being there just because Cole had nothing. I want to say I found Cole first.
Yeah, you did, and it definitely turned out to be the right gamble with the token being down there.
And I was between. There were no good options between Hawksness and GPS. You had to go fight a red dragon either which way, and I was just hoping that Hawksness being the closer option, I was hoping that was where Edric's armor was, and thank goodness it was. Because I sure as heck wasn't going to be walking 62 south.
Oh wow, I did that almost right at, well, I took a break and did some grinding, but that was a pretty high priority for me.
Well, Cantlin was the first town other than Hawksness that all four of you had found. So it makes sense that the coordinates would be a large priority to some, but at the same time not as large of a priority, seeing as how it takes time to count those steps out.
And I wouldn't trust myself doing that anyway. So if I was going to go for that search spot, I was getting Waylon. There's no other way for me on something like that.
And congratulations to Centroid41, who has finished with an official SRL time of 2:20.25.
And it looks like we have Braxis making a dive down Sherlock. Looks like he'll probably get to level 20 and then just go right to take on the Dragon Lord, I think.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because I had talked about this a little bit earlier when I first saw Xarnax reach level 20, and I was kind of curious if they were going to go on level 20 or not, because you were close on the stats, you had enough MP to kind of make it work, but it would have required some luck, so it looks like we're going to see how that turns out here.
Yeah, Centroid got him at 20, and with as long as you don't get absolute terrible rolls, I think 20 is I'm not going to say safe, but certainly doable.
Man, I was starting to feel snake bit during my fight because it was just fire. It's like, hit me with a physical, please, darn it.
Oh wow, I had more physicals than I could count. I think I had at least 5 doubles.
I ended up getting some doubles at the end, but it was like, I swear, he probably used fire like 5, 6, maybe 7 times in a row. I didn't even care.
Yeah, I lost count of my how much damage I was doing to him. I think it's in the lower end of his range for HP.
Definitely,
I know it's with over 40 magic left still.
You finished with a rather absurd amount of MPs, Xarnax. I want to say it was somewhere up in the 50s that the MP you finished with. It was just absurd, the number of double attacks and physical attacks that against you were getting. I mean, it just, that fight went very well for you.
Yeah, definitely so, and I think that we all learned a little bit something from this Dragon Lord fight, at least those of us who watched the stream, because I got to look up and see how much attack power the Dragon Lord actually has, and so that's going to help me out when I'm doing it, so I'll know how much he's dealing to me. And then I also recently learned the formula today as well.
I've known the formula for us attacking them, of the Dragon Lord. I never really thought to learn the other way around. At least with me, since I did the full gold grind, getting silver shield and everything, I guess it wasn't really that big of a concern for me.
Yeah, especially with that gigantic 104 defense power, I feel like the seed was an HP agility seed.
Yeah, looking at your final stats, I mean, it certainly seems that way. But you can even make a case it was HP MP.
Oh yeah, it was. I think at one max HP before the Death Necklace was like 170, I think.
Yeah, it was, and it was just an absurd amount of HP and an absurd amount of agility. I don't think that I have actually had a seed where I've had that high of an agility.
Alright, it's getting a bit late for me. I'm gonna head out. Thank you guys for restreaming, tracking, everything that you guys do.
Thanks for racing, enjoy your evening, and have a good night.
And good game again, Melee. Thank you so much for joining us. Greatly, very nice. Alright, Braxis still whittling away this Dragon Lord.
And there it is, and he gets his ball of light, and he gets to immediately cast return.
2 heal mores left over too. Nice.
Yeah, so level 20 was definitely doable. It definitely seemed that way. But I would say that 21 was definitely the right choice. So Braxis Muse is going to fish it with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 27 minutes, and 12 seconds. So get out your GGs. Alright, let's see here.
So while we're waiting for Braxis to join us here in Discord, let's take a look at what's coming up tomorrow in this Dragon Warrior randomizer. So it looks like tomorrow we've got 2 more races coming up. We've got one at 9 p.m. Eastern Time featuring Smashy, Mr. Holmes, Basp33, and the Hangry Canuck. That will be on Randomania, again at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And then at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Randomania 2, we have Empty Eye, Captain Green 7, Tilo, and Jay Coper. So we've got, quite the great group, 2 groups coming up tomorrow. Again, 9 and 9 p.m. Eastern on Randomania and Randomania 2, respectively.
Yeah, they are definitely going to be races to watch, and if you have enjoyed the runners that have been showcased here, Braxis Muse, Centroid41, Xarnax42, and MeleeWizard, make sure that you give them a follow. And thank you very much to Math Girl as well for restreaming for us. That's been an awesome job. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much to Math Girl for pitching in last minute here to get this restream organized. We really appreciate that, and these 4 racers certainly deserve a
That they do, and definitely make sure to give Z-Man a follow. He's been quite the commentary partner. I've enjoyed commentating with you.
And you, the abused miniature. This has been quite fun. I enjoy these, and I think we made a pretty good pair.
Yeah, we have a little bit different of a way of looking at some things, but we pretty much meet in the middle. So I'd say that it's been a lot of fun.
And with that ding, we have Braxis Muse joining us. Braxis, good job, man. That was one hell of a.
You know, when I went back and checked the basement of Tentacle Castle, I think at level 7, I didn't have a torch, but it felt like it was Swamp Cave, so I wrote that down and I'm like, I'll check it later. But when I actually came back to check it, and I saw that it was Mountain Cave and Erdrick's Sword is on the first floor, I felt like the rest of the seed I was behind. So once I hit 17, although my stats I didn't think were good enough, I thought, you know, I might just be able to do it with the amount of magic we had and the death necklace, and it just wasn't enough.
And you know, it was funny too, because my commentary partner here, Mused, and we were actually having a bit of debate over which cave that was at first, because I was first thinking, well, yeah, it's Swamp South. And then Amuse was like, nah, you know what? I think it's Mountain Cave. And, well, he was right. We're also joined by Centroid41 here in Discord. Centroid, very nicely done.
I gotta ask, so was I the only one that actually attempted at 17?
Yes, you were. So at level 17, it was doable, but you definitely were nowhere near the favorite that would make the fight comfortable. But I definitely can respect the decision. I actually had made a little bit of a guess that you were feeling behind. You were only at level 17. We're almost 2 hours into the seed, and you definitely hit the nail on the head right there with it. And I can't say that I would have done anything different in that position.
You know, when I started off with the attacks and I saw the low numbers at 5, I'm like, you know, maybe I'll just get lucky. I could get maybe a couple double attacks in to make it. And there was only like twice that I felt like I could, but it was one of those, if I don't get the double attack, I'm going to die anyways. And I felt like just having that amount of magic, I might be able to pull it out long enough that I might be able to get some of those, larger hits in.
Yeah, and the Dragon Lord just really wasn't being very friendly to either you or Centroid. Centroid had tried to dive into the Dragon Lord at level 19. I think that you had made 2 attempts at it before grinding to level 20, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Did anybody else use the Death Necklace? Because my only other option was going to go to Breckenary, take it off to have the extra hit points, and maybe I could have got those extra swings in that might make up for it, but that was even debatable.
Yeah, and
the Death Necklace, or the HP, extra HP loses all of its value over 148, because the maximum a Healmore can give you is 100. So as long as you're outside range of a Dragon Lord Breath, add 100 to that, and any HP above that is completely meaningless in terms of getting extra doubles or anything like that. So yeah, everybody definitely used the Death Necklace.
Yeah, and the only time that's really going to come into play at all is when you're looking for that first round triple attack, and it's common at 148, but it's not as common as you would think.
Another question I was going to ask: did anybody GPS to do the to do the count, or was I the only one that actually did the count for the flute?
No, you and Xarnax both counted.
That's where I actually thought I lost the most time, because I kept counting and writing stuff down, but it was like, I don't know if it was getting in those little fights and just losing count by like 1, but I gave up after a while and went and did some other stuff. But like the biggest thing about this seed, I felt just way too much swamp to try to traverse at the early game.
Yeah, it definitely was a pretty brutal map for you guys to be wandering on. Watching all 4 of you at the same time, it seemed like every direction that you guys went, you were either running into Armored Knights, or you were running into Red Dragons, or you were running into Magi Wyverns with the Sleep Hurt More combo. There's one point where I think it was MeleeWizard had run into a wizard and got Dragon Lord breathed. I mean, it just seemed like everywhere that you guys went, you couldn't really find a very good solid grind spot that was 100% safe.
So, Braxis, maybe I'm completely blind and didn't see it, but did you pick up a shield?
Yeah, a large shield. I had.
Okay, you did. All right, I missed it then, because I was under the impression that you were shieldless, and I couldn't exactly figure it out.
No, I got the small shield.
I did miss it.
I bought the small shield first because it was really all I could afford, but there was nothing really in the first town that I thought you needed to do a gold grind for. And then when I saw the large shield later and I had money for it, I got it. Because, I mean, very few seeds I've seen, you really need the, extra protection. And even for me, if I had the extra protection from the silver shield, I don't know if it would have made the 17 dive, any more favorable.
Yeah, and I definitely don't think that that is the case, because the maximum damage that the Dragon Lord could have done to you was 48 damage, and the Silver Shield would have only dropped that to about 45, and at that point you just didn't have the resources to make it work.
Centroid, you're kind of hanging out in the background there. What'd you think of this?
Oh, sorry, I forgot the push to talk, right? Yeah, I think the big thing that defined this entire seed was the 2 red dragons kind of perched, in very, like they just walled off some big stuff, like that Gwaelin's Love and the Erdrick's Armor. Thankfully that, the Gwaelin's Love would have turned out to be just a fairy flute, but like, I mean, I think I gambled multiple times trying to kill that red dragon early for in Hawk's Nest, just because I mean I knew there had to be something good there. But like, yeah, with diving several times in Charlock, like I feel like these flags just kind of lend themselves right to just gambling, with the shortened Charlock and like expedited the very fast XP and stuff. There's no doors. Like, I figured this is supposed to be like a fast flags, but like, it just so like, anybody could, like, there's no like random hurt more chance of you getting it at level 5 or 6. But other than that, it's supposed to be a pretty quick race in my opinion. So I think you're supposed to gamble more often.
Yeah, and you actually made quite a few gambles early on. I believe you were the first one to find the sword. That worked out really well for you. And I believe that you had you found the stone second, but you definitely were taking a little bit of a risk with how you were grinding and stuff, and it ended up working out pretty well for you until you came up to that Dragon Lord fight.
Yeah, I felt like, I mean, it was either the green dragon spot right next to the to Digital, or like there was the very bottom of the map, like there was a desert patch with like just I felt like a large chance to get a Demon Knight. I thought that would have been like maybe a better grind spot, but like, I don't know, the Green Dragons was like super close to home, so I felt like with 135 XP every single fight, I thought that was the best choice. And then once you get heal more, it's just like you might as well go after that red dragon because it's 255.
Yeah, I used that green dragon spot just south of Tentacle. I thought it was probably the better spot starting out. But for those that didn't travel north past Charlock very much, Breckenridge was just up there. So going and doing the Stone Man on that tile with sleep, I felt was the easiest outcome. Just put him to sleep a couple rounds. Once you ran out of magic, you just had to cast outside and then just head north a little bit, refresh, and come back.
It was actually a pretty quick and pretty efficient grind for you guys. That Stone Man was pretty friendly. 25% Dragon Lord breath, but other than that, not too bad at all. The only thing that really hung you guys up is that once you had over that 100 attack power mark, that's when Xarnax and Centroid actually started taking the experience lead away from both you and MeleeWizard, because they were able to just grind that red dragon so much more efficiently. And I mean, that's the gamble that we're talking about. Do you grind the Snowman or do you grind the red dragon? And it just worked out a little bit better for those that had ground on the red dragon.
Yeah, and like I said, if I would have been able to get that clutch kill at 17, I think the gamble would have paid off. But I mean, nonetheless, it was, that's the thing when it comes to these is sometimes that gamble pays off, and then sometimes, well, it can put you.
I think right before I started grinding the red dragons, there was, if you used repel, just outside of North Swamp Cave on the Charlock side, there was a zone where it looked like the only encounter you were going to get was armored knights, and they were fairly susceptible to stop spell and cast a lot of hurt, so they weren't particularly threatening. I felt like that was probably, I should have stayed there a lot longer than I did. I moved to the red dragon a bit too early. I feel like that was probably the best spot to grind, but I didn't look into Stone Men much, so maybe that was better. I don't know.
It's always interesting to compare the different grind spots, and like I really feel like the kicker with that red dragon in Hawksness was it's super close to home. So if you take a death, you're right back at it, which was just the deciding factor for me. And I didn't even know the Stone Man was there until super late in the game.
Yeah, I started grinding that red dragon at 15. Just kept going in there and just trying to get lucky.
Yeah, unfortunately it's getting a little late for me and I gotta work in the morning, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. Z-Man, thank you so much for joining me and commentating. Xarnax, Centroid, Braxis, and Math Girl, thank you so much for participating. It was definitely an entertaining seed and I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So before we sign off, do you guys have any other further comments on this seed before we get out of here?
I mean, I'd just like to thank Randomania and everybody else that participated with the